Hey everybody, welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and in this episode, we're finishing off a series of action figures that we've been looking at for quite some time, and one that really began a very, very long time ago. No, this isn't a Star Wars reference. This is actually a reference to the Fantastic Four. And that's because today we're taking a look at, from Diamond Select, their version of the Invisible Woman. This 7-inch rendition of Sue Storm is coming to us from Diamond Select, and this is the final figure in our Fantastic Four series. And so far on this channel, we've taken a look at the Human Torch, we've taken a look at Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards. The one figure we didn't take a look at was actually Ben Grimm, but really it's long overdue, and I'm just grateful that this is finally done and ready for everybody to get in one shot now. Let's talk about this packaging real quick before I take her out of the box here. And the packaging is like all of the Marvel Diamond Select Marvel Select figures. It's a mouthful, I know it's a Diamond Select figure, it's from the Marvel Select subline, it's a mouthful, don't get me started on that. Like all the other Marvel figures coming to you from Diamond Select, they're in this very large style of packaging here. Now, most of the other lines from Diamond nowadays aren't doing that. They're in a much more compact style of box, but all the Marvel stuff is still being released like this. It's kind of appropriate for Sue Storm that we have this big old giant packaging here too. It's almost like she's cast an invisible bubble around herself. And that's if you want to use that sort of logic to keep her in the box, but of course I'm not going to be doing that. We're going to be taking her out in a few moments. But it's true, you get a great big window here that lets you see everything that this figure comes with, which includes a lot of accessories. There's a ton of accessories here, and there's some that really aren't as clear that you're going to see once we open this packaging up. On one side of the box, you've got a great big image of the Invisible Woman in her toy form. This time, they're not doing illustrations, which we've seen in the past. Now it's just actual photos of the toys themselves. And we see that again on the back of the box because we have two images of our Sue Storm figure here, as well as a very nice short bio about who she is. It also lets us know that this is a 7-inch figure, which is a 1/10 scale figure, as opposed to Marvel Legends that are 1/12, meaning she is going to be a little bit bigger, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. But really most importantly, the box lets us know that this was designed by Eamon O'Donoghue and sculpted by May Tamtarana. So that is our packaging for Sue Storm, but let's go ahead and get her out of the box and take a closer look at her figure from all angles. That could be interpreted in some wrong ways. I'm talking about the toy, not, you know what? Just keep watching. You'll see what I mean. You'll get it. And here is our Sue Storm Invisible Woman figure out of the packaging. She is gorgeous. She is armed with a ton of accessories. This is a real top-notch figure, and I think another sleeper hit that a lot of folks might not be aware of how cool she actually is. So let's go ahead and do a quick rotation, give you guys a 360-degree look at Sue Storm, and I'll give you guys my initial thoughts. And yeah, this is really cool. There is so much with this figure. This whole Fantastic Four wave, or line, whatever you want to call it, in this case, sub-series maybe, it's been very, very, very good. Now, granted, the Thing was a little bit of an older figure compared to everybody else here, but the Johnny Storm was amazing. The Reed Richards, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe how much value was packed into that one, really. Like, you should watch that review if you don't know much about that figure, because it's really pretty amazing considering the price. And likewise, Sue Storm comes with a ton of stuff. It's practically two figures in one. Marvel Legends has never done anything like it, so yeah, we're going to have a lot to talk about here. So first things first, once Sue finishes rotating, let's go ahead and talk about that likeness and see if it looks like the Invisible Woman. And it's a pretty solid sculpt. I mean, it's hard to really determine if this is meant to look like a particular artist's run, because really this is kind of like their version of the character, so there's a lot of artistic liberty when it comes to designing them. It very much looks like a Marvel Select figure, I'll say that much. You know, like, it doesn't really feel like it's any version in particular of the character, but it does look good. It's got a really nice face. The facial expression isn't the most exciting. It's more supermodel-like, I would say, compared to like anything else out there. It's a lot less maybe cartoony as opposed to the Marvel Legends one that came out last year or whatever that was. I really like the hair and how it's kind of an action-packed hair pose too. This is not static. This is hair. It's kind of like moving around. You get a better look at that from the side and from behind as well. It's a hair with some action on it. It's something that I appreciate that they're doing with their female figures. So a lot of times they're kind of just bland and whatever, but this is pretty solid. She's got some really high cheekbones, very pointy eyebrows, good paint job on the face overall too. You know, is it my favorite facial sculpt for this character? No, but it's still a good sculpt. You know, like, I don't know if this reads to me like the Invisible Woman, like Sue Storm, because of how high cheekboned and how, like, pretty, I guess, let's say. I mean, I don't think pretty is the right word, because Sue Storm is a pretty character, but this just feels like so much more fashion model to me than who Sue Storm actually is. So not bad though. I think it's good. Just kind of a surprising take on the character. Let's put it that way. Now, as far as the outfit goes, I'm not like a super big Fantastic Four fan, so I couldn't quite tell you what run this is, but it is one of the more modern runs. That's why they have like the black stripes as opposed to like the white stripes from, let's say, the 80s, 90s run. This is definitely more recent times as far as Fantastic Four goes. You've got the big Four logo on her chest. And you'll note that she is currently transitioning from solid state to invisible state. Is that right? Well, she's basically going from normal to see-through, I guess. And we're going to come back to that point in a little bit. But yeah, that's just to give you kind of a rough idea of what's going on with this figure right out of the box. From behind, not really a ton of things to talk about. She does have a hole in the back for something that we'll get to when we start covering the accessories. But that's basically Sue Storm's outfit. You know, not really much to talk about, just that signature blue that we've come to know and love with a Fantastic Four character. And pretty solid overall. Yeah, nothing really negative to say or anything like that. So I guess really we kind of got into the crux of this figure, and that's going to be her articulation and her accessories. And as far as articulation goes, I mean, you can see there's really nothing hindering this figure, pretty much the same way that we had when we were looking at the Mr. Fantastic and the Johnny Storm. So she's going to have no problem moving around all of her parts, other than the fact that she's going to be probably really stiff out of the box, which she is. So her head is on a ball joint, but it's very resistant. Her hair is part of why it's going to be resisting a little bit, just because it doesn't really give us the ability to move it back. And even left to right, because of the way that hair is like flowing onto her shoulders. So she does have it, but it's not moving a ton because of her hair. Likewise, shoulders are ball jointed. I don't think she's going to be able to get it higher than that on, well, let's see, on one arm she can get a little bit higher, but yeah, the hair is blocking this on her left side, so, make with that what you will. But, okay, ball joints are still pretty good. We have the bicep swivel and a single joint elbow, so we can get some of this pose in right here. The wrists can also rotate, bend, and flex, so not bad. Okay, pretty much standard articulation for Diamond Select figure. The chest should move, but it's very resistant because, again, stiff out of the box. I didn't heat this figure yet. And when you buy any Marvel Select figures, highly recommend that you heat the joints before you do any kind of serious posing with them, or else you could very much endanger the safety of your toy. Let's see, now the waist, yes, the waist does move. That's atypical of Diamond figures. A lot of times the waists don't move. In this case, hers has a reason for it, I think. I mean, well, her upper body doesn't come out, but with Reed, we saw that was the thing that it did. So, certain figures don't, some do. It's always nice to see it when it's there, though. Now, as far as legs go, ball joints in the legs, and great flexibility. We got her in a split immediately. Thigh joint as well. So you can get some good high kicking poses here, and she also has these really solid knee. Oh, God, what kind of stance do I put her in here? It's like a real deep horse stance. We've got some good knee bending action here, and good ankle movement as well. So, good articulation. You just got to watch out for the hair, because that's going to be really the one thing that's going to make it a little bit harder to get her in some of those really important poses. Now let's talk about accessories, because there are so many here, but in order to do that, we got to start pulling things off this figure. So we're going to start with another piece of articulation. I actually realized I neglected to mention, but the forearms do rotate, and that's because the forearms completely come off this character here on both sides, because after all, this is the Invisible Woman, and like I mentioned, the joints that we currently have on her are meant to be her going invisible. So yeah, not only can we do that with the forearms, but surprise, surprise, these really cool invisible legs also can come out. And all right, good, they come out nice and easy. I was actually worried about that being a problem, considering how stiff these figures can be, but there we go. That's our, well, kind of weird quadriplegic version of Sue Storm. Let's put some limbs back on her so it looks less like the Phantom Limb from Venture Brothers. So I've got some legs over here. Let's just pop them on. I think this is going to be the right way to do it. And again, heating up the figure will certainly make this a much easier process. But, you could just be like me and be lazy and not do it and just fight with the joints like I'm doing right now. But hey, that's the point of this video, so I can show you guys what not to do. All right, I got her legs on, so you can see that's looking good right there. Now let's do something about her upper body here. And I basically, if you hear this like sound of things jingling around, I have her accessories all in this one big thing. We're gonna get back to what the heck's going on with that, but let's go ahead and get her forearms onto her. Again, moving pretty good, all things considered, since I'm not actually heating anything. I'm kind of really surprised how nicely things are going on here, but yeah, pretty good so far. So I did cheat, and I did just actually heat the figure up a little bit because, yeah, they were being a little bit of pains in the butt. And this is a very, very kind of thin joint on her forearm, so, yeah, if you put too much pressure on it, this elbow will totally break, I feel like. So better to be safe than sorry. So when you're doing the part change here with Invisible Woman, heat up the joints or you will be in a world of pain. So let's keep talking about accessories though, because she has more than what we're looking at right now. She has an additional 4 hands with the gloves, which you can see right here. Open hand, hands to hold things, and a closed fist. Plenty of options, and that's in addition to what's currently on her, which was another open hand and closed fist. And likewise, she has the same for invisible hands, so you're getting a ton of hands. She basically has 6 hands for the invisible forearm and 6 hands for the glove-clad forearm. So a ton of different options here, which is really wonderful. But that's not all, because Invisible Woman comes with this enormous base. This almost looks like it's something out of like Dragon Ball Z here. But yeah, this is a huge base. It has feet holes as well, 1 for each foot. In fact, you got a pair of foot holes. Flat base. It's kind of like her putting her invisible orb on the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and actually try this out in her right now, I think. Actually, I lied. Before I do that, I want to mention that besides the peg holes, right between there, there's a little hole in the center. So that right there, let me show you what that does, because that leads into another accessory, and that would be this piece right here. So we've got our base flat on the ground. This pole is going to fit into that hole that you saw. And I don't know, let's position it this way. Why not? Let's do that. So this will go in there. What goes in that slot? Well, how about this orb right here? This is meant to be like the Invisible Woman using one of her invisible balls, or one of her force balls, I guess let's call it. Now I made her sound like a Jedi, but if you guys read the comics, you know what this is, and this is part of the figure. So let's go ahead and attach that to the base. And we do that by just inserting this into there, I guess. I mean, let's see, there's no other way to do it. I don't think this fits into her hand. I mean, well, I think it does. It does, but it's going to look kind of funny. Likewise, you could actually just probably put this into her back, because I think that's probably what it's meant for. Let's see. Yeah, because that actually fits into her back. And it does support her weight, which is kind of nice, but it's definitely a little bit weird. Yeah, that one I don't quite get. You know, while she's floating here, let's just try this out. I think this does fit on her forearm, but no, it's a little too deep. So, okay, yeah. I thought that's supposed to go on that over there. Now I'm not too positive. You know, let's just try it again. See, I mean, it does fit into there. It's just very big and loose. So I'm not quite sure. You know, this is one of those like diamond conundrums. I feel like sometimes you have to like look at the website or whatever to figure it out, because they don't really tell you what to do with some of the accessories. And we have that same problem with a lot of the Avatar: The Last Airbender figures, but at least this thing is here. That's something. So, you know, you got a cool base effect, but there's one last accessory to talk about. That's this one right here. This is another hand attachment, so technically she actually has 13 hands total. This one is, again, using her invisibility as a weapon, or really in this case a defensive weapon. This is a shield. You got an invisible shield, which is very cool. It's going to attach into her hand. This is not articulated, but this gives us another effect to really make this a complete version of the Invisible Woman. This is meant for her left hand, so let's go ahead and pop that one out and put this in. Okay, that fits in really easily. And there we go. That is her with her invisible shield. Very nice. All right, cool. So that's what I'm saying, you guys. As far as like accessories and mileage, you're getting a lot more here than you were with the Marvel Legends figure that came out, which ultimately went right to the clearance aisle, which is unfortunate, but that's the case with them. But as far as like what this Invisible Woman has, her accessories are just off the chain. Now, as far as the size comparison with Marvel Legends, let's go ahead and check that out. And here is Gambit, and here is Rogue, both from the X-Men 97 line. And, you know, actually pretty close in size. Surprisingly, pretty close in size. Now, I should mention everybody here is currently on bases, because they are all, well, not really all, but Rogue and Gambit are having a hard time standing up straight, and that's because I haven't really done much for the joints yet. Storm can stand up on her own, but I've got her on the base just because it's a little bit more stable. But yeah, for the most part, size, you know, interestingly enough, for some reason Gambit looks enormous, Rogue looks way smaller. But generally speaking, Diamond Select, they are 110 scale figures as opposed to the 112 of Marvel Legends, so there usually will be a little bit of a size discrepancy, and there definitely is here. So unfortunately, Sue Storm will not fit in with your Marvel Legends that easily. But as far as Diamond Select's figures go, let's bring in her husband, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. See, hopefully he'll stand. And again, he's not on a base, but just to prove it that you don't really need it, there you go. And here's her brother, Johnny Storm. And yeah, this fits a lot better. And man, these figures look really good all together. This is the first time I've actually done this like this where I'm posing the three of them together. Again, I don't have the thing yet, but maybe we'll try and change that sometime soon. But this is a pretty amazing lineup when you see just these three together, how good they fit, how good they look size-wise. Now you can really see what I'm talking about with the scale too. The scale fits really, really wonderfully here. This is a truly Fantastic Four, or in this case a Fantastic 3, but you know what I mean. It looks really good like this. So final thoughts on the Invisible Woman from Diamond Select's Marvel Select line. You know, if you've been collecting the lineup, then you gotta get Sue to finish the 4. But if you're a Marvel Legends collector and you're thinking about maybe getting some of these to put in with your Marvel Legends, well, you saw it's not going to work. It'd be a waste of your money completely. So unfortunately, if that's what you're strictly dealing in, don't waste your money. But if you're someone who's not married to that line or just really, really likes the Fantastic Four, I think the Diamond Select figures are the better way to go. And, you know, again, this isn't just a shameless plug. I really mean it when I say go check out some of the other figure reviews I've done on this series. Go check out the Reed Richards. Go check out the Johnny Storm. You'll see what I mean and why I think they are like some of the best versions of the characters we've gotten. Not just with likenesses, but just the volume of accessories and how good all the accessories are, too. There's just so many good things to say about them, and I feel like this video is proof as well. You know, granted, there was one little confusing bit with that orb, but even without that, still, I'm standing by what I said. This is going to be one of the most complete versions, outside of, let's say, maybe like the Mezco figures, but you're going to be paying a ton more money for the Mezco figures, and those things, they really aren't for everybody. So as far as affordability and collectability and accessories and all that stuff goes, I gotta hand it to Diamond Select. They've really nailed it with their Marvel Select series. And keep in mind too, when I mentioned price, these aren't that much more than Marvel Legends. I think usually they're about the same price, sometimes a little bit more depending where you get them from. But speaking of, if you do want to pick up this Marvel Select Invisible Woman Sue Storm figure for yourself, go ahead and check out our Amazon affiliate links in the description below. If you use any of those links to buy anything, it helps support this YouTube channel at no extra cost to you. So that's our look at the Invisible Woman action figure from Diamond Select. I'm Matthew, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys here next time with more action figure reviews, statue reviews, and everything else we do here on the channel.